Good day, everyone, and welcome to Quest for Alpha. There is something that puzzled me for years. Some of the smartest people I know are incredibly careful with money. They compare mortgage rates, they negotiate salaries, they maximize their retirement accounts, they read a lot of books, they think critically, and very often they question everything. Yet, those same people sometimes fall for the worst financial ideas I've ever seen. That never made sense to me until I realized that I had done exactly the same thing. Throughout my education and career, I learned one lesson over and over again. If you study hard enough and you practice long enough and you refuse to quit, then you can solve almost any problem. That belief served me incredibly well. It got me through engineering school. It got me through my PhD. It helped me build a successful career. So naturally, when I discovered trading, I approached it exactly in the same way. Not because I thought it was easy. Actually, I knew the opposite. I knew most people failed. I had read that only a small percentage of day traders consistently made money. I knew there were scams everywhere. I knew professionals on Wall Street work incredibly hard for very long periods of time trying to gain even the smallest edge in the market. But I also believe something else. If another human being has the ability to solve this problem, then why couldn't I? Maybe it would take time, maybe it would take years, but eventually I should be able to figure it out. And looking back, I don't think that was arrogance. I don't think I was overconfident. I would say that I was optimistic. I believe that every difficult problem has a solution if I'm willing to study hard enough. After all, that mindset had worked for my entire life. There were evenings after work when I would actually look forward to opening the charts, not because of the money, but because I genuinely enjoyed it. Every chart felt like a puzzle, like there was an answer hiding somewhere if I could just think clearly enough. And that's what kept me going. It wasn't greed, it was curiosity. When I first entered the world of trading, I wasn't looking for an easy path. I was looking for the most efficient one. And I think this is an important distinction. Engineers are taught not to reinvent the wheel. If someone has already solved a problem, why don't you just learn from them? You study their work and you can improve on it. And that's what I thought about trading as well. I thought that trading would work the same way. I can find someone successful, learn their strategy, practice it, and eventually become successful yourself. That seemed completely rational. So I started with Forex. It fit around my full-time job because the market was open 24 hours a day. And I also enjoyed the fast feedback. Within minutes or hours, I would know whether I was right or wrong, compared to waiting years to see whether an investment would work out. And this felt incredibly appealing. I did buy courses, not because I wanted someone else to do the work for me, but because I believe that mentors could shorten the journey. And this is where I think I made my biggest mistake. I confused knowledge with experience. A mentor can transfer knowledge, but they cannot transfer maturity. They can teach you the technical analysis. They can explain risk management. They can show you where they enter, exit a trade, how to manage a trade, but they cannot transfer the thousands of hours, the emotional control, the patience and the mistakes that they have to exercise. You can copy someone's strategy, but you cannot copy the person who built it. Another realization came a little bit later. Almost every person I was learning from lived a completely different life than I did. Many traded during the busiest hours of the market, when the markets were the most liquid. I was sitting in engineering meetings during that time. Some would spend 8 or 10 hours every day in front of the charts. I had a full-time career. I still do. I have family, responsibilities, and even if their strategy genuinely worked, it wasn't designed for my life. And that changed something fundamental for me. I stopped asking, does the strategy work and started asking, does this strategy work for someone who lives the way I do? And those are two completely different questions. Today, if my son come to me one day and say, Dad, I found these person on YouTube, he seems convincing, his students are making money, his strategy makes sense, and ask me a question, should I buy his course? I wouldn't start by asking who the mentor is. I would ask him two questions. The first would be a financial one. Have you already built your foundation? Do you have an emergency fund? Are you constantly investing for retirement? Have you taken advantage of traditional investment vehicles? Have you started building assets that can compound over decades, like businesses or real estate? Because if the answer is no, then why are you trying to optimize the roof before you can even pour the foundation? And then I would ask him the second question. And I think the second one is perhaps the more important one. How much of your life are you willing to invest? Please notice, I did not say money, I said life, because every opportunity costs something. If someone tells you it'll take you a year before you can become profitable, understand that statistically, the odds are incredibly low. But even if we ignore the statistics, that year isn't free. That is a year you could have spent improving your health, learning another language, building a business, develop a skill that compounds for the rest of your life. Spending more time with your wife, perhaps, being present with your children. Every yes is also a no to something else. Money can be invested twice, once directly and once through your time. The second investment is usually the more expensive one. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't pursue these opportunities? And to that, I would say not at all. I still think that they're worth exploring, but only after you have built your foundation and only with a clear path. Decide how much money you're willing to risk, decide how much time you're willing to invest, and define what success looks like for you before you even begin. And if after that period it isn't working, don't try to spend another year looking for another guru. Either become your own teacher or move on. Because endlessly searching for someone else who has all the answers, that isn't persistence. Sometimes it's just another way of you avoiding reality. After all of these years, I don't think trading taught me the biggest lesson. Thinking did. I've started noticing something. Almost everything worthwhile in life follows the same pattern. Great relationships don't have shortcuts. Raising children doesn't have shortcuts. Health doesn't have shortcuts. Building wealth does not have shortcuts. Becoming someone you're proud of also doesn't have shortcuts. And I have stopped asking, is this possible? Because the answer is, of course it's possible. Someone has done it. The better question is it probable for someone living the life I want to live? And that single question has saved me more time, more money, and probably more disappointment than anything else. And maybe that's what wisdom really is, not knowing more, but learning which paths are actually worth walking. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, please consider liking it on YouTube and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.